Welcome back to Morning Express this Monday, the 3rd of February 2014. We are glad you're watching. I'm Sophia Wanuna. To that conversation I promised before we went on break, and it's all about the body that's in charge and charged with creating that level playing field in the marketplace. Does it actually happen, or do we see some people having that unfair advantage? This morning I'm joined by Francis Kariuki, who's Director General at the Competition Authority of Kenya. Good morning, sir.
Morning to you, Sophia.
Thank you very much for being part of the show today.
It's a pleasure.
You see, when I asked this gentleman before on the show about the Competition Authority, they didn't know much about it, and most Kenyans don't. So what is the Competition Authority of Kenya all about?
Okay. The Competition Authority is a state corporation established under Section 7 of the Competition Act, which came into being in 2011.
Right.
And the mandate of the Competition Authority is to safeguard and promote competition in the national economy. And number 2 is to prohibit and control abuse of conduct in the market.
Right.
And also to protect consumers from misleading advertisements and other safety issues. And the other mandate of the authority is to advise the government on competition issues, taking into account that our economy is market driven.
Many times, and I mentioned that you watch an advert and they'll say this product can do this and that and the other, and you purchase it with excitement that it will actually deliver on whatever they promised it would, and it does not. So as an authority, does it mean you look out for all the merchandise and everything that's being advertised, try to see that it's actually doing what the ad says it does before then you get to ascertain that it's okay, or that it's denying or lying to the audience?
One thing is that our role is to work with consumer lobby groups.
Okay.
So is that when they realize something is on TV and it does not achieve what it is supposed to achieve, is that they can escalate the matter to us. Number 2 is that among ourselves, we have a consumer welfare division, which is supposed to be looking or viewing TV and seeing whether there are some advertisements which don't seem to represent the correct picture. For example, I can share with you is that there was an advertisement which was focusing on roofing sheets. And these roofing sheets would go under the sea, I think, for quite some months. And then after those months, they are just as they were. And therefore, we intervened on this matter, and we are looking at it. Then there's also another matter in the motor vehicle industry, where a certain company has been indicating that it's selling some vehicles with an engine of a certain brand, and we realize that it's not the same brand, and we have interacted with the office of the Director of Public Prosecution in dealing with the matter. So is that we work on 2 prongs. Ourselves is that we look at we view the TV and see whether there are other deceptive advertisement, and also we work with the consumer lobby groups to escalate the matters to us. Okay.
And of course, some would argue in some sectors you will find that some entities or some companies or organization will look or seem to have an unfair advantage. Their dominance is, quite unique if you look at it from the wider scope. How then do you come in such situations?
Sophia, let me share this with Kenyans. Dominance is not bad.
Okay.
Because you can gain dominance through your own innovation, through your own efficiency. However, when you're at that dominant position, if I may use the common language, are you bullying people?
Yes.
Are you abusing your dominance position? That is what the authority is supposed to come and check. And the abuse of dominance could be in many ways. One is that you're foreclosing in terms of all the supplies, inputs to the sector, is that you have exclusive agreements with all the distributors of inputs or outputs. The number 2 is that you can abuse your dominance by what we call predatory strategies. Is that when you hear Sophia Associates is coming into the market, is that you can price below the competitive prices, average variable cost, so that Sophia Associates cannot be able to compete in the market. We have to appreciate that we are coming where we are coming from. Kenya is just liberalizing, and therefore there were some state-owned enterprises which were quite dominant in some sectors.
Right.
And we are looking at it in two prongs, is that ensure that those people who have bought these companies are not abusing the position, and also advocating to the government to open up the markets to create more entrants in the market. So it's a two-way we are approaching it.
Okay.
Look at the regulations, which may be propagating the dominance, and then number two, the incumbents are not abusing that dominance through what I had articulated earlier.
All right. So somebody would give, for example, an example like Brookside. You know, when you're talking about it's coming in and you hear of buying out so-and-so, competition, then that leaves you almost alone, and that in itself, then you can do anything, someone would argue. So what do you tell people who look at these organizations as trying to do and achieve that kind of bullish dominance?
It's good, Sophia, you've asked this question because I wanted to get a chance and explain to Kenyans in regard to that matter you've highlighted. When we are analyzing a merger, there are so many fundamentals we look in a market. And to go back to what you have been just mentioned, Brookside, I think it's Brookside-Buzaki merger. We have to be aware there are 5 billion liters of milk produced in Kenya. Out of these 5 billion, it's only 2.1 billion reaches the market. The rest is retained in the household. And why is it retained in the household? Because the companies, maybe they don't have the capacity to reach those households. Number two, the infrastructure may not be conducive for the companies to reach those households. So we have only 2.1 billion liters of milk reaching the market. Out of these 2.1 billion liters, Sophia, it's only 500 million liters which are processed.
Right.
So we have 1.6 billion liters which is not being processed, it's being sold informally. So where these companies are, the processors, they are just playing around with 500 million liters when the 4.6 billion liters, it's not being processed. Now, people have been talking about the company you've mentioned, that it has some dominance and all that, but it's only, they have a higher market share in only this 500 million liters.
Okay, so not in the entire field?
Not in the entire field. However, is that we were also concerned that they can have dominance there in this market, but do consumers have an alternative? And what we did is that it was unfortunate that we used this proxy, that during that time is that the VAT issue had come, and therefore the prices of milk had gone up.
Yes.
And what happened, Sophia, is that the sales under the processed milk went down by 18%.
Okay.
What does that mean? People moved to the informal sector, and therefore it means it offers a competitive pressure to the processed milk. Look at today's newspapers. I think one of the print medias, the prices of milk have gone down by about 2 shillings. So if at all we didn't analyze it this way, if at all it was costing dominance as it was portrayed, what could have happened?
Okay.
So there are very many fundamental issues we look at. Then number two is that we have about 8 processors now. The ones I can call national is the KCC. We have Brookside. We have Githunguri, which is coming up. And we have the one producing the Daima, Samia. And it entered the market just the other day, and it has gained about 7% of the market share. What does that mean? Is that there are opportunities of growth. And also is that we have to look is that we have an international market, a regional market, where we need to build our own companies which can go and sell, exploit these regional markets rather than creating what I may call county monopolies or regional monopolies.
Well, so the authority is fairly young, and I guess it's through such platforms that you're able to raise awareness of the work that you're doing. But what else are you putting in place? Because clearly with your work, you need a lot of support and input and participation of ordinary Mwananchi, so where they notice this and this is not working as it should or as had been, highlighted by the various companies. What are you doing to ensure they have a better understanding, you're accessible, and that the work you're engaging with them bears fruit, so that at the end of the day they're not losing out?
Okay, Thank you. One of the things, and I had mentioned earlier, it's working with the consumer lobby groups.
Okay.
One thing is that I would like to tell the Kenyan consumers is that you have the biggest weapon. That is that shilling which is in your pocket.
Yeah.
Is that you can determine what a company produces. But unfortunately is that we have not been having very strong consumer organizations in the country, and what we are trying to work with is those few we have, so that at least they can create awareness of our existence, and also they can be dealing with consumer problems at that level. The other thing is that very soon we are introducing a hotline, a call center with a hotline,
right,
so that at least people, when they experience these competition infractions, they can call us anytime. And we have a Facebook page, Competition Authority, and also a Twitter handle at CAK_Kenya. And this how people can interact with us. Then the other issue is that we are interacting also with the universities in terms of creating research, so that at least when they are creating research, they can tell us that these issues, we have more problems in this kind of areas, so that at least we can be able also to accelerate our regulation through those areas.
Okay. And what would you say, the far that you have been able to work, some of the cases you've been able to arrest, situations that you've been able to sort of deal with so far?
Last Monday, we presented our annual report to Parliament. And the annual report elucidates very clearly that we have dealt with 65 merger applications on time.
Okay.
And we have been dealing with 17 anti-competitive practices during that previous year, and about 6 consumer protection cases. I would like to highlight one of the issues we were dealing with last year, is that the Association of Kenyan Medicals wanted to increase the charges they charge the consumers by about 20%, and we intervened. They didn't increase the prices. And also we have seen some of the insurance associations trying to set some rates which they charge people, and we intervened, and they did not increase that. What I can share with you is that we have been able to arrest all those kind of things. It's just that we arrest them and deal with them at that level. And also is that, as you have said, is that the previous gentlemen who are here said that they don't know about the Competition Authority. It can show you where people have been focusing their interest on. They are very aware of the politics going on around here, but the commercial issues going on around here seems not to be capturing people's eyes. In fact, even today in the cement sector, I think it's in one of the print media's headlines. Those are some of the things we are doing. You're
looking at. In terms of the challenges you face, because at the end, those unscrupulous people who then seek to have that unfair advantage, to have and hog the marketplace, will really work hard to maintain their positions and to keep doing what it is they're doing. So they will not let off easy. So what are some of the challenges you face in trying to balance the marketplace?
Yeah, challenges, they're always there. And one thing is that, as Rupert Murdoch said sometimes back, monopoly is good until you have one.
Yeah.
So when someone has that position, of course, you wouldn't want to let it go. But the key thing is that if you face someone with facts, having conducted research, and that is where also we are interacting with the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, that we have data, we have research, data which is driven by research and all that, so that at least when you are approaching a certain sector, is that at least you are informed. And the moment you're informed whether someone is a monopoly and is doing 1, 2, 3, 4, you can easily be able to deal with them. And so what we are doing is that approach the markets with research, with the data, and you'll curtail that kind of challenge. Number 2 is that the other challenge we are facing is that from our supply institutions, that is the universities, are we producing outputs which can be employed in the Competition Authority?
Right.
I can say right now, no. But there are initiatives towards that. We are soon going to sign an MOU with one of the universities to motivate them to start training and producing outputs which we can employ. Because, Sophia, is that training one competition expert, it's taking about 5 million Kenyan shillings when you take the person to Europe. Why can't we have that money in this country?
Okay.
The other challenge we are having is that, and we've seen it, it's lack of competition culture in the country. In regard to people have been asking, the market has been liberalized, why do you require competition authority and all that? We are not here to control, we are here to regulate.
And what do you do with the offenders? What are the mechanisms that you've put in place, in terms of enforcement, that you find out these people are the ones who are breaking the rules? Then what do you do as an authority?
The law is very clear, is that if you consummate a merger without the approval of the authority, is that you can be jailed for 5 years, or a fine of 10 million, or both. And in addition, is that there could be an administrative penalty of 10% of your annual turnover.
Right. The
same with cartelization and price fixing and all that. Yeah.
Okay. At the county level, as we bring this to a close, we're talking about devolving everything. So are your efforts as well going to the grassroots level, to the various counties around the country?
Yeah, we have to appreciate when the authority came into being. It's with a new constitution.
True.
So what it means is that the new constitution increased the demand of our activities up to the county level, and unfortunately dwindled the resources because of the many agencies which came into place. But what we are doing now is that we are prioritizing in terms of, we are profiling counties in terms of the commercial activities.
Okay.
And the first presence will be there is that we want to be there through mobile offices first, try to appreciate what kind of infractions which could be there. Later, maybe we might graduate into satellite offices.
All right.
The other issue is that we want every year to be having an annual interaction with the county governments, because even some of the regulations which we have seen coming from the county governments is that it might be impossible for an investor, when coming to invest in Kenya, when you tell an investor you're supposed to invest within this framework, and when he goes to another county, he realizes it's totally a different framework.
Yes.
And this, at the end of the day, is that it will bar entrance in Kenya, or other investors in Kenya, and collapse the competition process which is going on. And we feel that we need to talk to the county government and see how we can harmonize all these issues.
All right. Mr. Kariuki, finally, for viewers watching and they may realize they're being shortchanged, how do they get in touch with you, other than the consumer bodies and the different organizations you mentioned? Is there a way for contact other than Twitter? You mentioned Facebook. You'll have a hotline as well. Are there offices they can visit? What other way do they get in touch?
Yeah, Sophia, we have an office in Kenya Railways headquarters.
Right.
You enter through the gate which is opposite the Polytechnic University, and we work, in fact, from 7 to 6:30 in the evening.
In the evening.
Yeah.
Thank you. We appreciate. Thank you so much for being part of the show, Francis Kariuki, Director General, the Competition Authority of Kenya. The discussion we just had this morning, I hope it has proved helpful for you, especially as you see those ads talking about the various products, or even just in the marketplace. Are you getting worth for your money? Are those various companies, organizations delivering on what they said they will deliver on? If not, this is the man, and that is the organization and authority to talk to, so that they can ensure that you get value for your money.